You're listening to the World Football Program with all the latest updates from both local and international football.
Good morning, Perth. This is the World Football Programme. I'm Sean Kelly, standing in for Penny Taylor-Howarth, and with me in the studio I have John O'Connell. Good morning, John.
Yeah, good morning, Sean.
And Don Evans, the Don.
Oh, good morning, Sean, and good morning, listeners. What a glorious day out there.
It is a perfect morning out there, isn't it, for football and for anything else you want to be doing. Yeah, just magnificent today. Thanks to Frank and Jerry for a wonderful Songs for Ireland programme once again. True professionals, those two guys. And we'll be in 2 hours' time. We've got the jazz programme coming in with Bags Groove. So to thank our sponsors for putting us on the air. We'll start off with our main one, which is Perth Glory, and we'll be talking to Tony Sage a little bit later on. Australian Minifootball Federation, Dataplatz, Rachel Pepper Illustrations, Gate and Fence Hardware WA, Osworth's Fencing and Raw Iron, and the Melville City Football Club, and not forgetting Prosperity Strata Management. So thank those people by using their businesses, because they support us and we support you, so let's keep that ball rolling. Alrighty, in the show today we will be talking to the Perth Glory CEO in his 10th year at the Glory, Tony Sage. Miguel Maron, who is the National Mini Football Championships organiser, Alex Novatsis, who we all know through Football West, and finish off with Steve McDonald, who played for Sorrento against South Melbourne during the week. And I suppose that for us is the big news during the week, Sorrento playing South Melbourne.
That certainly was, and I'm sure the boys would have enjoyed the trip over there, but not the trip back. But never mind, South Melbourne, one of the better sides.
No disgrace losing to a club like South Melbourne, big club over there, John, in Melbourne, and hopeful of getting into the A-League as well. So, for the Sorrento boys, fantastic journey. Got through to the second stage and unfortunately met a better opponent. But all credit and well done to Sorrento. They represented the state well.
Well, I think it's great for Australian football that we have these kind of tournaments now up and running, and I would predict that in a decade's time that the FFA Cup would probably be one of the biggest football tournaments in Australia.
Well, it's heading that way. I wonder if it'll ever expand into, maybe the Asian region and, having clubs from over there coming into the pool.
No, I don't think we should do that. I think
just
we
ours
should.
only?
Australian.
Ours only.
Where we can go with it is into the regional areas.
Absolutely,
and set up a prelim
just grow
in the regions and bring the winners into the mainstream.
Yeah. And what's your thoughts on the weighted draw at the moment? Because I think there's a lot of these clubs now are actually, despite the arguments about whether they're competitive or not, they seem to be doing extremely well. Is it time we got rid of that, or are you happy with that?
No, well, I mean, it's at the moment it's about profiling the FFA Cup. It's got obviously plenty of ads to do at the moment, but I mean it's something that will be there just as long as we play football here in Australia.
Yeah, the waiting, I think, is it adds a little bit more spice to it, and the minnows get a chance to go through to the serious business end of the round. So
absolutely,
it's great fun, I reckon.
And look, we've got a little Sorrento here in WA. We're playing some of the NSL powerhouses in South Melbourne. Yeah. To get through the final 16, win, lose or draw, fantastic result for them.
Well, they played Sydney. They played Sydney the year before here at Nib Stadium, and that was a great effort. They only just narrowly went down to the powerhouse of Sydney, who won the A-League title. So they're the sort of games that you want happening. Where our local state league clubs get to play the glamour sides when they're not quite ready for us yet, and whereas our boys are in peak form.
Yep, and the only WA side in the last 16.
Yes.
Well, I think the other thing is again going back to the regional areas. It's an opportunity to take our best football into those areas, and at the expense maybe, but at the fact that the junior players in those regions would certainly appreciate seeing some of the best players in Australia coming and playing on their turf.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, John.
I'm sure we'll talk more with Steve McDonald about it later, but because they copped a few war wounds out of that trip as well, the poor boys from Sorrento. Sean Canham done his Achilles and
got a red card for it.
And got a red card for simulated diving or whatever. And
he's dedicated to his simulation.
Well, I think we better get hold of Tony Sage, because when I rang him, he said, I'm just putting my toaster in the toaster. So if we don't ring him, it'll be burnt by now.
We should be back after these messages with Tony Sage then.
I love Minifootball because it's fast.
I love Minifootball because you can score lots of goals.
Because this is my passion.
Minifootball in Australia. Australia. Be a part of Minifootball in Australia.
The World Football Program welcomes the Australian Mini-Football Federation onto Radio Fremantle. Join the growing numbers playing non-traditional forms of football at any of the Area 5 centres around Perth. Find out more on ozminifootball.com. Station sponsor.
The Perth Glory Football Club is proud to support WA Football and the World Football Program. Stay tuned on 107.9 FM every Saturday from 10 a.m. for the very latest Perth Glory news. A-League, W-League and Youth, glory is ours. Station sponsor.
And joining us on the phone in the studio is Tony Sage, 10 years into owning the glory. Tony, good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks.
Now listen, Sage, we don't know whether to do this interview in Spanish.
We got the three amigos.
I know you have, mate. I hope they don't come out on horses, though. Now listen, the latest one, Javi Torres, has agreed to join Perth Glory in a one-year deal. And it's a bit of a massive coup, they say, for the A-League title aspirations. The 30-year-old is due to fly into WA next week. So, it's an interesting factor. Roston Griffiths, of course, moved on, and there was a need for somebody else to come into the midfield. So, and he's good mates. Well, they're all friends, aren't they? So, putting that all together on the field, they shouldn't be too difficult. Don?
Oh, I think it's a great pickup. And when you've got a guy like Castro who's, very familiar with his playing style, it brings, let's just say, another playmaker into the squad, and all of a sudden, these boys can feed those strikers that we've got that can bang the goals away. So, Tony, great pickup. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, great pickup. Castro has been instrumental in both Andre and Torres. He's been trying to get us to get Torres well before Roston even left, but we didn't have any room number one. So that's what made the decision easier on Roston. Everyone said, well, why did we let him go? Number one, he wanted to go. But we had this in the background the whole time. The complication was his girlfriend, who's 30 weeks pregnant, and getting a visa for her to come as well. That was been the complication, but the Australian government let it through. So he'll be a new father as well, and as in about 8 weeks. So it's been a very, very difficult thing. It's been going on for a couple of months. It's leaked out a couple of times, but Castro's very good friends with both of them. So again, that's why we're calling the three amigos. They're very good friends, and I think it will click. It might take 4 or 5, 6 weeks of playing, but they will click.
And somebody said you're going to sign the baby up as well, is that right?
Well, it depends what it is. I can go in the W League.
Now listen, there's been a lot of movements, we'll say a lot, but there's been movements of players in and out of Glory over a period of time. Is that a bit of a distraction? You know, if you're looking to win things, you need to get sides together, especially quality players. Has that been a bit of a hazard for you at times?
I don't think so. I mean, Kenny's third on the ladder. If you go add all the win-losses of last 3 seasons since he's been appointed, we're third. We're 10 points above Melbourne City and then Western Sydney. So only Melbourne, Victory and Sydney are above us. And if you look at the turnover of players in the Sydney squad for the last 4 years, except for this year, it's been as much as ours. So look, Kenny's just looking for that, combination, if you like. And you do have turnover, and some players just want to leave. I mean, look at our favourite son, Josh Risdon. He just wanted a different change because he felt like he was stale where he was here in Perth. So you just can't stop players from leaving. Roston was the same, although we were very disappointed the way Roston left in the end by not playing that last FFA Cup game when he could have. But in the end, he decided to go for money, and I don't blame him. He's a professional footballer. He's coming to an end of his career, and to get an amount of money that he's going to get over there for 2 seasons, no Australian club could ever match those numbers. So you've got to expect that in the professional game.
Absolutely. And, I mean, with the boys that we've got coming back out of the UK, landing here, all of a sudden, if they show form in the A-League, there's eyes watching all over Asia, and as soon as they spot someone's in good form, they'll nick them off you because they've got the cash.
And also, Seiji, can you understand the frustration of the fans when they see all these good players like Josh Risdon? He's a local boy. Thanks to Glory, he's got where he is now. And the fact that he's leaving and fans really want to keep the better players here so they can win something. Yeah,
but Josh wanted to challenge himself, didn't he, Tony? He felt he was in a comfort zone here. That's the problem.
That's right. Yeah. That's what it was. He's in a comfort zone. He's never left out. He really didn't want to sign the extra year that he did go. He wanted to go to Europe. He couldn't get a contract. So he's been had itchy feet for a while. He's 24 now. So he just wanted to challenge himself. And look, we got a great West Aussie boy back as well. So Scotty Neville's going to... I thought Scotty, over the year last year, did play better than Josh when he played for Western Sydney. So we've got a good fit straight back, and he's West Aussie as well.
Are you happy with your image out there in the community at the moment, or is there still things that you need to do?
No, I think we're getting there. Look, we're on track. Last year we got a record number of members. This year we're on track. We're actually in front of where we were last year. So we think we can get to the 10,000. So, that's community attitude, isn't it, by signing up members. We won I think four out of the 6 social media awards that the FFA put out last year. So our engagement with fans is better than the other 9 A-League clubs in 4 categories out of 6. So, look, I think we're getting there. We've got a lot to do. Don't think we're going to be complacent, but we're getting there.
And how do you handle it financially? I mean, we know the big clubs, like, when I say the big clubs, Sydney FC, Melbourne Victory, Melbourne City, they've obviously got investors putting millions of dollars into their club. How have you handled that? Can it be a bit of a problem?
It's a huge problem. You just ask my wife and kids. Look, but I decided to bear it, and so far I've managed it, and results have been good the last 3 years. Like I said, we're third on the ladder win-loss. We've got 2 FFA Cup grand finals under our belt as well. The W League have been in 2 grand finals out of the last 3, so you can't say we haven't performed. We're a little club. We don't get a lot of publicity here. As you know, the big boys, Channel 7 and the West AFL, because they're massive investment they made into the broadcast rights. They're not really interested in football. So when the Sunday Times went, what other avenue for real media do we get in this state? It's just Channel 10 and Channel 9, and their viewership numbers are a lot less than 7. So we've got an uphill battle here facing us on the media side to get our story out.
And you have a great opportunity, though, with possibly one of the world's best players playing out of your club in Sam Kerr. And that's got to be a great media coup and something that you can develop and build up. She's got a great personality, and I think she's just
a massive ambassador for WA football.
Absolutely.
We're going to do a massive campaign when she gets back. We hope that we crack 1,000 W League members. The W League membership starts, I think, next week, and we're hoping to get a lot of young girls following Sam. I mean, she will be, she's in the top 5 in the world, and hopefully she wins that award. But, how much of the mainstream media have you seen on Sam Kerr?
Absolutely
7,
none.
9, 10, nothing.
Well, she scored 4 goals last week, Tony, and she got a minuscule piece in the left-hand side of the West Australian.
Sunday Times did a decent piece. I think it was a good story on her, but definitely not enough for a girl of her stature and what she's doing on the world stage. She should be back page headline.
That's right.
A national hero.
Yeah, you can compare that to the coverage that Fox and 7 gave the top AFLW team player. I can't remember her name now. That's how much interest I've got in that. But it was just massive, and now she's earning mega dollars. And the salary cap, believe it or not, it's only $200K for the whole of the W League.
No, I know, it's appalling.
Whereas the AFL's throwing $40 million at women's.
And we're lucky that Sam loves the family, loves Perth, that she's willing to come here and pay for a pittance when she can play in Europe. And get 5 times the salary that we're paying her.
Yeah, but you're in the box seat now, aren't you? Because you've got who could be now, in the next week or so, the best women's player in the world.
Yeah.
Now, what a great marketing tool, because women's football now is when we talk about men's, it's been there all the time, but women's football is the fastest growing of our football in the world. And you having the world's best player there to promote it here in WA, it's going to be pretty enormous for you, isn't it?
Well, it should be, but, we've banged on doors, banks and the like, just to get Sam sponsored. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The only sponsorship we've managed to get is through the government, because through the Department of Sport and Rec, that they see the value in women's sport. But, if this was the best men's player or the AFL player, we'd be inundated with sponsors for the W League team this year, and we're not. It's really sad and an indictment on the way that this sport is covered, and especially this sport in women's in this state.
Are there any plans for double headers? We did a couple last year. They were very good.
Yeah, I think we're doing 2, maybe 3. We're definitely. And I think the first game that we've got, I mean, as you saw the draw, we got 2 away games straight up. I think the season starts on October 2nd. We got one on October 8th against Western Sydney. Then away again to Newcastle. So 2 hard ones up front, which we begged the league every year to have at least 1 home game to start the season, or in the second one. But to have 2 away is another indictment on the way they treat us over here.
Tony, back on Sam Kerr and the lack of corporate interest in getting behind the girl. Surely people wanting to advertise product would see the benefit of this beautiful girl who's got a lovely smile and is now well recognised around the world as a champion of her code. Surely these types of people who have brand awareness would get behind her and take her on board as someone who they get doing ad campaigns for them. She brightens up a room.
Absolutely. I mean, we're absolutely dismayed that given all this activity that Bankwest pulled their sponsorship, for women's sport. I mean, they were the sponsors for 2 years, and now when Sam wasn't at this level, she's climbed to this level now. And, you'd think that, and a homegrown bank, even though it's been overtaken, but, with the Bankwest name that they've still got, you'd think they'd be ideal, but they pulled out.
Maybe you go to Bendigo Bank, who are a community bank, and they might take a greater interest.
Look, Don, you know me. Yep. I pick up the phone myself. Yep. I've got staff to do it, and it's been hard work. I know we're going through a pretty bad phase in the WA economy, but it's not a big number to sponsor the W League side.
Just looking at the soccer in general now around Australia, from the administration point of view, there's been a lot of talk about how the game's been administered here in Australia. What about you? What about Glory? What about Football West? What about the FFA? Tony, did there need to be changes?
Yeah, what was that shenanigans that went on over in Sydney, mate, where, a deal was meant to have been done and the deal wasn't done, and then everyone was basically afraid of the Lowy factors. I mean, what's going on over there, Tony?
Look, it's an absolute disgrace. This all happened. I don't know if you guys remember. We made the grand final in 2012. This is how far back it goes. When we played Brisbane, we were entitled to a slot in the Champions League, in the Asian Champions League.
Yep.
Yeah, it all happened, and all of a sudden we got told, "Oh no, we've lost a spot." After a year of me trying to find out and going through all these things, we found out because of the corporate governance in Australia. The FFA was stripped of its spot. So it goes right back to then, and Frank Lowy buried it, and the owners finally got together early last year, and we started agitating, and FIFA's now come out. It's got to change. Look, no matter whether Tony Sage is liked or not liked, I've put $120 million into the game in this state. That's how much physical, whether it's paying for the stadium, players, etc. I've got back about 90 in membership sales, corporate sales, ticket sales, whatever. So it's a loss of about 30, but it's not that, it's the spend. I've spent $120 million, one individual. If you add the other 10 owners in their states, it's about $1.7 billion the owners have pumped in. We get one vote out of 10 in this Congress system.
Wow.
New South Wales has 500,000 registered players. They get one vote. Tasmania has 3,000 or 4,000, and Northern Territory get 2,000 or 3,000. They've got one vote. So the way the voting for the board of the FFA has been gerrymandered by the Lowy family from the original, I think, 12 years ago, it's just terrible. It's got to change.
And I think you'll find that there's going to be a significant impact on the Australian national team playing in the World Cup if they don't pull their act together. And I don't think even Frank Lowy could have hidden that.
Yeah, that's right. We've got to get together. So the state feds, to their credit, joined with us. We had an agreement in a room. We walked across from where the meeting was to the FFA headquarters, and Stephen Lowy pulled the 9 state federations aside, kept them there for an hour and a half to an hour and 45 while FIFA was sitting in the room with the owners, scratching our heads. We thought, we've got a deal. And he came in and the deal was scuppered.
Did our association have any input in that, Football West?
Yeah. Football West, I congratulate Liam. He stood up, and but there was 9 and 5-4 vote, I believe, happened. I don't know the actual numbers, but I know Liam stood up for the number that we wanted to agree to.
Yeah, when you think about it, though, the A-League is where the money's generated, and the Foxtel money and all the media outlets provide that income, most of which is then sucked into the FFA, who then disperse it as they see fit, most of it going to the national team. That's got to stick in the throat of the managers as well, because you're basically generating that income.
Correct. It does stick in our craw, but we also realise we've got a responsibility. So 10 years ago when I took on the licence, I didn't have anything to do with the W League. I didn't have anything to do with the NYL or the NPL. Those were imposed upon us, because the national body wanted the clubs to take over the grassroots, right? Mm-hmm. So that was done. So I've taken on an extra $1 million in payments per year to have all the coaches, the games, etc., for the NYL, NPL. So when that happened, they closed the Centre of Excellence now, because now the clubs are running it. So they've saved a lot of money, which they're spending elsewhere. Now, we don't know where they're spending, because under the Constitution, we're allowed to see the accounts, but they've refused. That's why one of the owners is going to court to get those and see where the actual money does go. Yep. But we do generate 75% of the income. We get 33% back. We don't want the 75%. We're just saying, we understand there's a responsibility of the A-League clubs just give us 50 to 55%. You keep 20% of our revenue going forward. And that's what we've tried to compromise with the FFA, and they just say no.
Yeah, I suppose the thing about the fans out there now is the last thing they want to talk about is politics. They want to be able to go out and see their team play and be happy and go home contented. Now, what's going to content the fans this season, Tony? What are you going to do special?
Three Amigos for a start.
Yeah, well, the Three Amigos, you've got your Casino Royale, you've got that tied up. What else can we look forward to, Tony, for the fans out there?
I just think having Sam Kerr back as well in the W League, that's going to be an exciting avenue. But look, consistent attacking, winning football is the only thing. Look, it's a win-loss game. Sport is a win-loss game, right? Everyone loves a winner. Everyone ignores the loser. I mean, you look at the average crowd of the Dockers this year is 25,000. They sell 40,000 tickets, but only 25 turn up. That's an indictment of poor play. It's not an indictment of they don't love the Dockers, right? So our fans will come if we win. And that's been instilled into Kenny. Kenny's instilled that into the players. He believes he's got a playing group now that can win and compete at the highest level.
Yeah, earlier in the interview, Tony, we spoke about the lack of media, not having the media and things like that.
Yeah.
But has football come together in Australia through the FFA and looking to decide how we go about changing that?
Yeah, well, we have. I mean, the owners have been banging on for 7-8 years that we want free-to-air. We had SBS, didn't work because they shoved us on SBS2. So the average viewership was only 100,000. Channel 10 is going to be a different story. When Channel 10 picked up the Big Bash, the average viewership on Fox was 100,000. They've got that to 1.1 million by Channel 10. So we're hoping Channel 10 do the right thing, put us on their main channel, do a lot of advertising, and promote the game. I know it's only one game a week, but it's a start. The only problem that we face is we won't get any games here in Perth televised on Channel 10. It's only if we play an away game to a Sydney or Melbourne, which is unfortunate. So we only might be on once or twice next year. I think in 3 years we're on SBS Live twice in 3 years. Wow. So the time zone that we're on, we're not going to get. But hopefully the Channel 10 here do show everything live on their main channel. That's what they've promised to do, and that will be the start. We want every game live on free-to-air, and that will really spark interest in the sport.
And, of course, earlier on we spoke about, and you mentioned about getting into Asia and competing in the Asian Champions League. Recently, Football West sent a couple of board members over to China. And there, I think we'll be talking to Alex Novatsis later on in the programme. But the idea, I think, was we had our state under-16s there, I think, playing in the tournaments. And Asia is where a lot of football money comes from around the world.
Well, building bridges with the Asian region.
What's your thoughts on that? And China, obviously, I know in 2050 aim to win the World Cup. So are you looking at foraging in those areas as well, Tony?
Yeah, look, every business trip I do, I visit clubs. I should put more on the Facebook page, but I've visited 4 or 5 clubs to try and get engagement on, and we're getting a bit of traction now. So we might have a tie-up with a Chinese club. So that means them coming here, we're going there as a relationship going forward. We did it last year in the Philippines. We went to Manila. We've also, my aim, it's controversial amongst the owners, only 2 agree with me. Instead of having an expansion team in Sydney, an expansion team in Melbourne, which is just going to dilute players again, why don't we have a team in KL and a team in Singapore?
Well, what I was thinking also was that we're just about completing a brand new stadium, and obviously we need to take benefit of that. We all paid for it, by the way. It's not a footy stadium; it's everybody's stadium. So obviously that could be a plus as well, having a stadium like that and bringing big teams in.
Right now, I can tell you right now, without a word of a lie, Liverpool have already contacted us because it's the only state they haven't been to, and they didn't want to play at a dilapidated Subi-Oval. They sent people out years ago. So they played in Adelaide, they played in Brisbane, they played in Melbourne, they played in Sydney. this market, according to their group, we've got more Liverpool fans here. So they've already contacted us.
Tony, can you tell these two in the studio that, please?
John's already writing
Come on, get on your knees, you two.
John's already writing out a cheque for the first ticket.
Yeah, and as you know, we've got Chelsea next year.
Yeah,
so, you know, it's going to happen. The state government does realise that, and thanks to them for making Chelsea happen. But they can make a Liverpool happen. They can make a Man U happen.
And would you like to see the money that generates, Tony? Would you like to see some of that coming back into the community?
I'd love to see a lot of it coming back, but unfortunately these teams, even though we love them, our particular thing, are very greedy. Liverpool walked away from their last Australian tour with 12 million net Australian dollars they made. Merchandise sales, ticket sales. You know, out of this game against Chelsea, Perth Glory Football Club makes very little. It was just a chance of getting our name out there, bringing it here. We do get paid, but we don't get any percentage of ticket sales or anything like that. But it's still very, very important that we do bring these teams out and get the masses who support these teams. And I think we'll get 60,000, no problem at all.
Without a doubt.
Oh, well, not only that, but Asia is a football area now. Yeah. So people will fly from Asia just to come and watch the game and fly back again.
That's my point about expansion of the A-League.
Yeah.
You have a Singapore team. You've got another 5 million eyeballs looking at it, and in Malaysia, another 30 million, right? And just don't think short, say, we want one in southern Sydney or eastern Melbourne. I mean, that's just going to not do anything for the A-League itself. But you get 60 or 70 million new eyeballs on it. The media rights goes from 200 million to 400 million straight away.
And that's something that we tried, John, back in the 90s. Remember when the Kangaroos were playing and we played here at Macedonia Park was the venue that was the home ground. But where that fell over, we had the quality of the teams that were coming from the Asian area were just, let's just say, not up to standard. They were getting flogged by 5, 6, 7. The first crowd we had at Macedonia Park, I think, was about 5,500 people so there was great interest, you know, for that inaugural setup. But where it fell over was quality of teams. Now, if you look at Hong Kong and you look at their league, they've got Kitchi and they've got South China, two massive clubs, right? And if you got one of those clubs coming over and competing in the A-League, and you got a Singaporean club that was strong and had to be strong, I mean, you've got to make sure that when you expand into Asia, the Asian Conference also understands that the integrity of the comp means they've got to put a real strong line up.
Yeah, well, I think it'd be fair to say, Tony, as well as that, you know, Singapore obviously have got a bit to do with their football at the moment. Yep. But don't forget that WA football, I'm talking WA football, no other state or place in Australia first went into Asia in 1967. And it's well remembered, we played in all those big tournaments against national teams, Japan, South Korea, China, Thailand, you name them. So it's not as though we're little upstarts going into Asia. We've been there and set the foundations.
But now we need to do it right.
And we need to send our best teams in there, as my phone rings, as it always does on the programme, Tony. This is not your lawyer, is it, Tony?
But seriously, it is a good suggestion, Tony, and I'm surprised that the other clubs haven't got behind you on it, you know.
Yeah, well, they just see the difficulties with the AFC and all that. And I said, you can get over that. We got over New Zealand being in there. They're in Oceania. We still got them into the A-League. So it's not going to be difficult. You just got to have a plan and attack it. Start now.
Yep.
So in 3 years' time, when we do need 2 extra clubs, just don't be, you know, put in a place where you're going to get 5,000 people watching. You know, you'll fill the stadiums in we went there, I think, 3.5 years ago. We played Johor. Right? We got 32,000 there. It was a practice game.
Yeah. No, it's a great concept and a big market to tap into.
Yep.
Well, listen, Tony, the World Football Programme, I'm sure, as part of the media here in WA, I believe actually, we get more media in the papers in the births and deaths column. But about football, that is. And, we're here to talk to you and hopefully help promote Glory, as we like to do with Football West and all the other associations that are involved in our football. It's great to have you on the programme, mate.
The first game's coming in October, Tony, against Western Sydney Wanderers.
Western Sydney away.
Are you going to have, what about your home game?
That's 2 weeks later. I've forgotten who it's with, but hopefully it's packed.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you're going to kick it off with a bang.
That's it.
Yeah, well, it should be a double header. Actually, the double header starts 2 weeks, I think, later when the W League starts. We've got it penciled in. We're just waiting for the FFA to approve it. But I'll be at Ashfield today watching the last game of the season.
There you go.
Excellent. Good on you, Tony. Look, great to have you on air. Obviously, people out there need to get their memberships in and watch the three amigos. I think they'll be a very exciting team when they get together.
Yep.
There's a lot to look forward to for the season. Thank you very much for your time this morning, Tony.
And don't tell me you're going to be the fourth amigo, Tony.
No, definitely not. I don't speak Spanish. Only Italiano.
No.
Cheers, mate.
All the best, Sadie. See ya.
See ya.
Good on you, mate. You take care.
I will. Bye.
Okay.
So, Tony Sage, owner of the Glory and an honorary Spaniard.
He's not backward in coming forward,
No,
Tony, especially when dealing with FFA. I mean, it's a funny organisation. You know, when you see articles like the one on the World Game website where you had John O'Reilly, who was a former FFA board member, you know, talking about, you know, let's just say the godlike power that the Lowy family has over some of these.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like it is a fiefdom and it's a dictatorship, and that's not good for our code. Initially, it might have been good to sort everything out, but right now we need, like all the states representing the interests of their, federations.
But I think FIFA have lost tolerance for it, and some of that stuff that used to happen that Lowy made go away.
Yep.
There's no appetite for it now, and the FIFA Ethics Committee are getting some ethics. I know that's a misnomer, but and they will seriously pull the rug out from underneath our World Cup campaign. So
no, but the other thing is as well is we shouldn't have to be talking about individuals who are dominating our game. This game of football was always a family game. It was about family. It was about grassroots, and it didn't come down from the top. It came from the bottom up.
Yeah.
And we were happy at the bottom to share it with everybody else, but it looks like now that's not happening. And it needs to change. Simple as that.
Yep. Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more, John. Okay, we'll be back after these messages with Miguel Maron, who is involved in the National Minifootball.
One of the amigos.
another amigo.
Fourth amigo.
Miguel.
We'll have to ask him if he's Spanish. All right, we'll be back after these.
Oswest Fencing and Wrought Iron. Our family fabricates fence panels, gates and framework. Repairs gates and sets up automated systems. Ring us on 9258 6822 for old-fashioned family service and advice. Station sponsor.
Are you considering data and software development? From a simple website to custom office automation software. Phone Andy at Dataplatz on 0414 263 938. That's 0414 263 938. Station sponsor.
Gate and Fence Hardware WA are your local business, supplying materials, components and parts for fencing and gates. Practical and simple how-to advice by our family. Products shipped anywhere. Visit our online store at gateandfencehardware.com.au. Station sponsor. Oswest Fencing and Wrought Iron. Our family fabricates fence panels, gates and framework. Repairs gates and sets up automated systems. Ring us on 9258 6822 for old-fashioned family service and advice. Station sponsor.
At Prosperity Strata Management, we exclusively manage strata properties. With 30 years of management experience behind us, our excellent customer service is second to none, and we believe well-kept properties are the key to generating good sales and rental returns. On-site visits to your investment are conducted on a regular basis, with our aim being to see your property improved. For further details, visit our website at prosperitystratamanagement.com.au or call 0499 994 923. Prosperity Strata Management, station sponsor. Are you considering data and software development? From a simple website to custom office automation software. Phone Andy at Dataplatz on 0414 263 938. That's 0414 263 938. Station sponsor. Are you considering data and software development? From a simple website to custom office automation software. Phone Andy at Dataplatz on 0414 263 938. That's 0414 263 938. Station sponsor.
Okay, unfortunately, young Miguel is not available at the moment, so we'll be trying him very shortly, and I'll ring Alex in the meantime and see how Mr. Novatsis is going. But, John, you've got some scores and results there from last week.
Yeah, well, I've done about scores, but, there's some cracking games on today in the MPL. And, Don, you look at them going through the list. Armadale take on Joondalup United. Perth Glory versus Colburn City. And if you want to catch up with Tony Sage, you'll catch him down at Ashfield. He might even buy you a coffee.
Give you his autograph.
Yeah, and Perth Soccer Club take on ECU Joondalup. Flores Athena versus Inglewood United. Now, there's a crucial game. Tell us about that one.
Game of consequence. Absolute game of consequence. This is the title decider. And for Floret, it's their last crack at making the top four. Should Sorrento fall over after that trip to South Melbourne. So if you're looking for the two biggest games of the day, besides Floret and Inglewood, you're looking at Bayswater taking on Stirling. And Stirling always happen to be a thorn in Bayswater's side because Bayswater can technically, they're capable of winning the league.
Yeah, but I think there's 7-goal deficit, isn't it?
No. On the points tally, should Inglewood lose, basically Bayswater trump them. So you're talking about Inglewood with 54 points at the top of the table, Bayswater on 53. So Inglewood draw or lose to Floret, Bayswater win, and they're on 56 and Inglewood on 55.
Yeah, well, the other big game, of course, you talk about top of the table clash, the bottom of the table, and you've got Balcatta and Mandurah City.
What an amazing set of fixtures for the end of the year. You've got the top of the table being decided and the bottom of the table being decided. Just amazing.
Couldn't scripted it any better.
Well done to Alex Novatsis and the team at Football West. You've pulled off a miracle there.
And Sorrento, you mentioned earlier, they've had a big week in Melbourne against South Melbourne, and they have to take on Subiaco. And actually, I watched Subiaco play against ECU Joondalup. It was a catch-up match on a Tuesday night at Doreen Gardens. No. And they're a pretty... they cause problems.
They're an opponent that's going to give you... And they're in good form. They've won. They beat Perth Glory 2-1. They beat Armadale 2-1. So they know how to win the tight ones in... like an arm wrestle. So, we've got someone on the line there.
Yes, on the line. We're talking about Alex Novatsis. I have Alex on the phone. Alex, good morning. How are you?
Yeah, morning, gents. How are you all today?
Yeah, good, Alex. How are you?
Mate, excited, to be honest with you. It's not just excitement at the top of the table, but as you mentioned, the bottom of the table. And John, I don't think it had anything to do with me, but the football gods having my first year at sort of head of member services.
And
along slightly and done it for us.
And according to rumours, both sets of games are happy you're not refereeing, Alex. Why is that?
Mate, I tell you what, I think there'll be more than 3 games happy for me not to do them, I tell you what. But it's one of those things, John, where unfortunately I can't really be at one or the other because I'll have the trophy with me. So I'm basically on call to go to either Bayswater's ground or to Floret's ground to get the trophy ready to be presented. So hopefully there's no late drama where I'm going to have to do a U-turn on the freeway and get going to the other ground.
I'm sure Ches from Inglewood has said to you, don't come to our ground first.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting.
Come last.
I've had a couple of phone calls saying, you're going to be at the game. I said, you don't want me at the game until 4:45.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and talking about that, Alex, I mean, over the last, 3 weeks now, for Football West anyway, we've been talking to Tony Sage about Asia and the Asian Champions League and things like that. But it's been important for Football West over the last few weeks with Singapore coming in here, playing in a tournament against, I think it was the under-20s, Socceroos, and also the state team. And the state team going into China to play under 16s in a tournament over there. And a couple of your board members went over. Is there anything outside of just playing in that tournament that Football West are looking at doing in as far as staying involved with state teams, whether they're amateur or professional, and playing games?
Yeah, absolutely, John. A couple of weeks ago I was away, unfortunately, in Malaysia myself, but we did have a team from Malaysia play against our amateur state team. So they were here. That was one of the games. The amateur state team is also looking at going to Malaysia again in November. So there's discussions there in trying to get a side. There is a side ready to go. It's just a matter of getting games up and running and getting everything organised to travel across. And there's also, luckily, I was away with AFC on a match commissioner's workshop, and it works out well because everyone within that is related to some type of member federation or federation in terms of Asian countries, and I managed to obviously have a chat to a few as well. And there's things in the pipeline for different parts of the world, and China and Malaysia and Borneo and all sorts of discussions. And yeah, listen, it's a market that is growing and growing at a considerable rate.
Yeah, just looking at that though, Alex, I mean, when I played for the state team, we played obviously against, Premier League clubs. We played in Asia against Japan, South Korea and all that. What level of football are you looking at playing? What kind of teams are you looking at coming up against?
Yeah, so basically, for instance, in the amateur side, we look at trying to target that sort of area in terms of the quality. We don't want to go across there and play against teams that will give us, an absolute belting. But in terms of Malaysia, we're looking at targeting the Super League teams there. So that there is sort of on par with our state team as well. So we're trying to play the best teams as possible and get ourselves the best exposure as possible. In turn, bringing them across, John, we try to bring teams. So obviously, in terms of if we to bring a Chinese team across, it'll be a Chinese Super League side that will come across. And what we would look at potentially doing is discussions with the state team, Perth and this team, and get a different type of tri series that we had similar to Singapore and the Young Socceroos.
I think what doesn't get mentioned a lot either is that there's a massive Asian community in Australia now.
Oh, big.
And when all these teams come over, it's not surprising to see them all. And not only that, they're turning up for glory games as well, and in families. Which
even on the national arena, when we played Bangladesh, there was a huge contingent of Bangladeshis.
Yeah, you're spot on. And the Singapore versus the Young Socceroos game is a perfect example. They had 1,000 people there, but there was quite a few of the Singaporean supporters that were actually at the game. So, yeah, you're right, we're getting our local people, but we are also getting those students and people that have come across from Singapore that are making a life in Australia and basically supporting their sides as well.
Is it something you purposely target, knowing when you bring in certain teams in, and you go into that community and see if they want to come on board?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something that we strongly work with, is obviously finding that if we are to bring a team across, we work with that community. And similar to the Singaporean one, we go to the universities because there is a strong Singaporean base within our universities in WA. So that was an example there. Similar to if we go to another country, bring other teams from other countries, I should say, we would talk to their obviously their brotherhoods and such that are within Perth and try and get their support and backing as well.
Yeah, you've got the Singaporean Chamber of Commerce here and the Hong Kong Chamber of Commerce, and I mean all their business people are very prominent in our particularly restaurant society, but in business the Asian community are very, very well positioned here in WA, so to get them on board would be fantastic for football's growth.
Absolutely, and that's part of our strategy that we've got with Jonathan Cook as well, that we do, is continue working with obviously our Asian neighbours and obviously the people from the Asian communities within Perth as well.
Yeah, well, I think in fairness to past associations, is that we've always had a foothold in Asia as a state team. And as I mentioned to Tony Sage earlier on, in 1967, we actually went in there. And in 1968, we went in there and finished third against all the national teams. At that time, it was national teams. It wasn't just state teams or club sides. It was actual national teams. So we've had a good footing in Asia. It's just being able to be the beneficiary of it.
And it's not just Malaysia, John. I mean, I travelled across with the state team to Singapore. We played in the Lion City Cup in 94, 95.
Excuse me, Alex, just before you go on. Alex, just before you go on. Where did you get all the money to do this, mate?
Where do I get all the money?
Yeah.
I was lucky enough, my parents went to the state. Unfortunately, I didn't make it in the football sense in terms of professional, but I'm still making a living in football, and I think I hope I'll make my parents proud enough to think that I've done fairly well within the game, playing, refereeing. The best thing for me is that I showed a few referees that it's not difficult to go from playing to refereeing. I think common sense is the main thing within refereeing, so that's one thing I've got to push with referees, is to obviously have your common sense.
Yeah, well, I shouldn't have interrupted you there, Alex. I'm sorry about that. That's all right, mate. But I just think, it sounds a great life. You get over there, you do the negotiating, and probably, in a sense, Alex, that we need that.
Working 18, 19 hours a day is terrific, mate. And at the end of the day, for me, regardless how many hours we put in, it's about the game and it's about making it better for everyone else in the long run. Yeah. So that's what it's. Listen, I'll be up front. it's not about, well, yeah, you have to make a living, but it's not about the money. It's the game that I've loved since I was three years old, and to say that I work in football full time, I couldn't be prouder. And basically, you know, you're doing it for those.
My dad always said to me, find something you love doing, then find a way of making money out of it, and you seem to have cracked it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that why? This is why we have to put up with him in the studio.
I tell you what, yeah, so if it's not me working at Football West, it's match commissioning at Perth Glory games or A-League matches, whichever it is, and yeah, hopefully let that continue as well.
Alex, I'm sure your parents are very proud of you. You've done a great service in the playing and the refereeing, but now in the administration area, you're learning very fast. And one of the things that when clubs talk to you, that you are responsive, and in particular this room, you know, when there's rumours out there in our little crazy football world, you're able to snuff them out fairly quickly, and that's one of those letters that you put forward about the relegation and promotion this week was an example of that good work.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, mate, it's about being transparent, and that's what we're about. Listen, rumours are going to go flying. I mean, it's been in our games since they got 125 years ago. I'm sure there was rumours back then as well, but listen, we have to snuff those out, like you said, and let, you know, we sent out that letter to say, listen, there's promotion and relegation, you know, as per the competition rules as it's been stated, and the letter's gone out, and I tell you what, it doesn't make it 2 good games this week. It makes it actually, for me, it's 4 very good games, because Sorrento will need to win as well to have a chance to make the top 4 too. So then you've got the big one at Balcatta, which Balcatta Mandurah, which I think would be the tastiest of them all, to be honest, because it's just going to be let live, because someone's going to be staying in, the other one's going to hold a relegation position, be it that it's an automatic or a playoff position in 3 weeks' time.
Look, and when you look at those fixtures, there's tasty football all over the town, but and then when you look at Division 1, where the real fun's starting to bubble up now, where who are the likely promotion candidates?
Well, either end of the table is exciting there, and I think 7 or 8 points separate the main players.
Yeah,
both ends.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so close, and I tell you what, there's some great football in Division 1. Let's be honest. I mean, we look at FPL as being the top of the, but I think Western Knights this year have showed that you can be in a position and in a different division and compete against the best. I mean, they beat Bayswater to get into the final, and Bayswater are today fighting to be the top of the NPL. So it's just showing that, you know, football is developing, and to be in Division 1, Division 2, or, you know, I mean, even Division 2, you look at Grell up Croatia, you've got a great team in Division 2 that I think mathematically could potentially win the league again today as well. So there's another game that if people wanted to go see some good football and potentially a league. And then going to tomorrow as well, Queen's Park could win the league in the Women's Premier League tomorrow as well. So this weekend is probably the best weekend I've seen for football. I don't think I'll be sleeping too much, and I better take my petrol card because there'll be a few grounds I'm visiting this weekend.
Which one do you go to first? I mean, we were actually talking about the relegation battle. I know the last fixture of the year is always traditionally all games get played on the Saturday, but was there any thought of the relegation game being put up as a standalone on the Sunday? Because it's just got so much interest in it.
Yeah, the thing is, it comes down to the clubs as well, if they're available.
Sure.
So that's the other issue. And then on top of that is ground available. So if you look at Balcatta, they've got fixtures on their main game and all their grounds around. So we've got to take that into consideration. The clubs were happy to make it a Sunday, yeah, absolutely. I would love to, because that would be another game I'd be able to go to and basically watch and enjoy. But you're right. There's a lot of things that we do at the start of the year, especially when we're doing our fixtures. And come the 2018 one, we'll do the same, where we try and push, you know, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday games. Again, you know, if the home club can host them, great, we'll allow them. But their position is that they would prefer a different time. So I mean, a perfect example was Joondalup United at the start of the year. They had a Saturday night game. They had over 1,000 people at their game. So it just shows that, you know, if we think outside the box, you know, back in those days it was Saturday 3 p.m. and we're getting crowds, but there's a lot of things happening now that weren't happening back then. I mean, shops weren't open after 12 o'clock on a Saturday. We weren't getting football 24/7 on paid TV. So there's different things that, you know, we now need to think outside the square in terms of getting people back to the game as well. We're happy to help and work with it and get clubs to work with us to make that happen.
Do you think Football West, as there's a lot of contention out there about the way that our football is run, the clubs, people say the clubs are not happy, this group's not happy. Can the clubs and Football West do better at things they do?
Yeah, John, easy thing is communication, mate, for me. That's what it comes down to, communication. There's a lot of things, I mean, you're right, John mentioned it before about rumours, and there's a lot of things that, get sent to me. Have you heard this? Have you heard that? I would prefer the people that go on to social media and such, but everyone's got my number. It's on the website. I don't sleep anymore, so give me a call. I'm happy to answer questions.
Yeah, but are we bringing the right people to the table who can sort those problems out, Alex?
Which problems, those John? Are we talking about the relegation and such, or the way?
Yeah. Well, I don't know how many times. I don't know how many times people came to me and said, "Is there promotion and relegation this season?"
Yeah, but this is the thing, John. People have said that to me, but it's in the competition rules. It says it there. It's in black and white. So this is where I direct people. There's promotion and relegation. I've been on radio. There's promotion and relegation. Perfect now is we sent the letter out and basically said, the two teams that can be promoted are South West Phoenix and Forest Hills for this year. I had discussions with those clubs that can't in terms of the audit and basically said to them, this is where you were short, and they were happy. They said, yep, great.
And I suppose, Alex, what this leads into, though, is the NPL review is part of that conversation, and it's due for release at some stage very soon, I believe.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's just been finalised by the board. Obviously, the board now has to go through it and approve, and then basically be released.
So there's about 45 recommendations?
46.
46, yeah.
And just on the regional growth of the game as well, Al, South West Phoenix really performing very well again this year. It's great to see them sort of waving the flag for the Bunbury region. And, what are the numbers like in registrations down, the Busselton, Albany, that
Southwest?
Sort of, the Southwest.
The regional areas had steady growth again, so around that 2 to 3%, which is very good to see. Southwest, again, similar, on par to that 2 to 3% as well. So, yeah, there is growth across the board in the regional areas. Again, like you mentioned with South West Phoenix, they're waving the flag and waving it proudly, and it just shows the way they're going. One of my favourite coaches, Maron, down there, doing really well, and it's good to see. I've had him, I've had my son refereeing against him in discussions during matches. So, it's good to see him down there. It's great to see that they're doing really well. And again, another great coach, Rod Banjak at Forestville. And to be honest, through Morgan and Robbie Dunn, you've got so many experienced past players that are coaching. And have a look where these teams are within Division 1. So,
although Alex, Robbie Dunn was very scathing on Facebook about the way the game has been run here in WA.
Not the first time, John.
No, but but at the same time, Alex, and all due respects to you and Football West, Robbie Dunn was one of our best ever players. He played with the Socceroos. He played with good managers, good coaches, administrators, so he does know what he's talking about. He might not, and you might not agree with everything he says, but those are the kind of people that we should be inviting in sometimes to sit down and talk through it. Because
John, you're right. You're 100% right. And this is where perfect example was in the when we had the workshop. So we had the workshop for the NPL review, and invites went out, and everyone was made aware to attend. Now, if they don't attend, we can't drag them by the ears and say, you've got to come in. We'd love to have... I've had discussions with some of the greats in the game in WA. Obviously, with Gary Marocchi, who's another past Socceroo, who obviously, we've got a mutual respect for each other, and, you take all these things into account. Because, again, we want the game to go forward, and you need to take a lot of experience with you to keep it going. I totally agree. There's no doubt about that at all. But again, we have those reviews, we have those workshops. Gary was part of Gary was part of the NPL review as well. So, I agree, John. Yeah, there's a lot of experience out there, but again, there's a lot of things moving forward that, rather than them, for instance, Robbie going, as you said, making comments. It's, again, a phone call and a discussion, and it'll make it a little bit easier.
Well, if you think back, you look where you are now. You're obviously employed by Football West.
Yeah.
As a 10-year-old, you sat in the Novotel Langley Hotel at a Dorsonia Cup breakfast, and you asked the guru of Australian football, Les Murray, a question.
I did, yeah.
And you'd been invited, you were with Kingsway Olympic Juniors, and I think you'd won a championship or something, and you were rewarded by having a seat at the Dorsonia breakfast. So you have a look at that situation and where you are now, Alex.
Yeah, it's amazing, John. I go back and look at where I've been in the past in terms of, I can't say it because my dad's sitting there, but coaching from my dad from an 8-year-old through to until I played first team at 15, 16, the coaching style that he had in comparison to where we are now.
Chalk and cheese.
He's not listening. So yeah, back in those days, the drive home was always interesting because he'd give me a mouthful, and if I opened my mouth, the backhander would come through. But
this is where I was talking earlier about how important to listen to where the game comes from.
Yeah.
And we're talking grassroots. We'll always talk grassroots about the sport because that's where it came from. And it needs to be sometimes. We all get caught out, but it needs to be treated with respect.
Yeah, I think the point that you're making there, John, is listen to the people who are actually at the operational level, who and this is no disrespect to the people who work within administrative positions. They have their own role to play, but not too many of them, Alex is an exception, have come from a club culture and worked within a club and seen the problems and issues that arise within clubs.
And conversely, as you're so aware, Don, there's a lot of keyboard warriors out there on forums who know exactly what to do.
Everyone's an expert out there, right? Everyone knows.
Anyway, Alex, there's a couple of important weeks coming up now with our football.
Absolutely.
What have we got to look forward to?
So I'll start off with the grassroots. To be honest, it's a great segue into that. We've got the MPL Junior Top 4 happening, and that's on the 24th of September. What we're doing is that final will be on the 12th to the 16th. Will be played at Rockingham, down at Lark Hill. That's a great facility and a great opportunity to be playing. And one thing I like to do is, I'll use the phrase, spread the love and make sure that a lot of clubs, similar to the seniors, a lot of clubs get an opportunity to host finals. So that will be held down at Rockingham with Brian Kennedy, the president there, and the top 4 will be there. The Junior Top 4 Cup, so this is obviously the Community Junior, not the MPL. The final will be on the 17th of September. Now, obviously, understanding there's quite a few games, so that's spread again across Subiaco, Coburn and Kalamunda, so they'll be hosting the finals. So that's down on September 17th. The big one, which will be the Top 4 Cup final, that's going to be held at Frank Zargo Reserve in Basildon. Now, that's the 18th, 20th and 1st team, and that'll be on absolutely magnificent day of September 9th. So, John, when you see me, make sure you buy me a drink for my birthday.
I'll even give you a kiss, Alex. I'm that hard up.
So that's on then. The other good one we've got the week before is the Women's Cup final. That's the Women's and the Girls' Cup final. So that'll be merged together. So the Girls 13, 15, 17, and the Women's Metro and Women's Premier League Cup final. That'll be on September 3rd. So that's Father's Day. So my kids can buy me a coffee that day. And that'll be down at Balcatta at Grindleford. And then the Amateur Cup final day, we're actually having that at ED&D Litter Stadium in Floreat. So that's on October.
And what about Football West and Sam Kerr? I mean, she's priceless. Have you got plans, hopefully?
Yeah, we're hoping to, yeah. So that's something that we're trying to do. If she's here, we're going to try get her along. We've got Tash Rigby. She'll be at the Women's Cup final as well, another Perth Glory player. And she's also a Football West an employee. So we've got her to grow the game in the women. So she'll be there as well.
And just talking about the women's game, this year it seems to have suffered some neglect. What are the plans for 2018 as far as the women's competition goes? The Premier League this year has been very sparse and the first division's not that strong. So,
and where are the cup finals being played as well, Al?
They're at Grindleford.
Yeah.
Grindleford, is it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's at Grindleford, that Balcatta, so that'll be held there. Yeah. So in regards to the growth of the game, this is where we've got Tash, and we're working with clubs to grow the game, get more women's teams as well. So, yeah, you're right. I think there's 17 within the state premier, and the reason for that was the late withdrawal of sides.
Again,
that up into State Divi 1 would be tough because obviously you need 2 teams to move into that sort of area. So we'll start preparing, well, we have started preparing for 2018 already in terms of meetings with the standing committee, and we've got one again on Monday night and going through these sort of scenarios and what we can do to get it stronger than what it was this year.
Just on the women's side of football, just with Sam Kerr and the amazing impact she's had and the profile that she's developed for herself, it'd just be great prior to the women's A-League starting off, where Football West and Perth Glory, put something together in the Forest Chase area and have our young girls out there and have Sam elevated to not a godlike worship, but I mean just knowledge and recognition as a role model, and get the girls out there, getting her autograph and giving gifts out and engaging all the young women out there who want to be the next Sam Kerr. We need to do.
Well, I suppose
like
to put it into perspective, though, that Sam is the first Australian footballer, male or female, to be nominated as one of the best in the world. It's amazing. It's a massive statement.
It's unheard of.
It's natural.
It's a massive
that's what it is.
And you know what, to be honest, it's something not just Australia to be proud of, but WA to be proud of. She's a WA girl. To be nominated to be one of the best in her sport, in a world sport. And I'm about AFL and these. We're talking about worldwide game here.
Yep.
We've got to enhance it and just run with this. And this is something that we'll be trying to work with, obviously being a Perth Glory player and working with Perth Glory, where we can work together in promoting the game. And listen, at the end of the day, the more girls we get playing, the more girls that can be developed, the more players that Perth Glory will have in the future as well. So it sort of works hand in hand.
Yeah, and Don mentioned earlier about the Southwest and football down there. When can we see an NPL side in the regional areas? Because for me, that's really important, especially like somewhere down in Bunbury, Southwest Phoenix, we mentioned that.
It could possibly, it could be as soon as next year, John.
Yeah, well, I was going to say is because all the intricacies that you need down there are there now, and all it needs is the nod.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this year we've got Mandurah. Hopefully, I mean, they've got Southwest Phoenix, obviously on the letter that was sent out. They've been given the nod, so literally all they need to do is finish above Forestfield and finish in the top 4 to have an opportunity to play in the NPL. If they win the league this year, finish off first, top goes straight up, and then the 14th position in the NPL comes straight down. So it's an automatic swap, otherwise it'll be a playoff.
The reason is basically just to bring the best football into the regional areas.
Yeah, 100%. And there is talk about potentially having a W League, hopefully getting games in regional areas, similar to what we did with the NPL. We went out to Geraldton, and we're hoping to do NPL regional match again. So be it at Geraldton or we go somewhere. I mean, Bunbury's a little bit different in terms of taking the NPL because obviously we've got State Divi 1 and potentially NPL next year. But it could mean that we go to Albany or somewhere else into the regional areas to promote the game and promote the best players that we've got in the state.
John, it was unfortunate for Southwest Phoenix or Bunbury, as we refer to them, that they didn't make the cut for the NPL when it first started due to the facility, right? And that time they were sharing a Aussie rules ground and a pitch out there in the middle, and we won our title. The Stirling Lions picked up the premiership down at their ground, but talking to their people, they were so motivated and so positive about getting a new stadium. And I said to them, just keep that promise. And I said, you'll be back one day. Yeah. And they have that facility that they've got down there in Bunbury now is as good as a Lark Hill, as good as a Forestfield, all these new little stadiums, boutique stadiums that are just perfect for the growth of the code.
And I was thinking also, Alex, is that you could then start looking at regional championships. When all the regions play off against one another, like Albany, Geraldton, Bunbury,
Boulder. John, is similar to what we've got at Country Week for our juniors.
Yeah.
Why can't we do that for the seniors?
Yeah, why not?
The best Geraldton players, the best Broome, Albany, and so forth. I mean, being that it'll be the first one, I'd like it up in Broome, to be honest. It gives me a chance to go there. But that's something that we look at. Even if it's like a long weekend, you do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you basically bring the best of regional teams to Perth. And it gives, it gives NPL coaches an opportunity to have a look, because they may see something.
Yeah. Having played in Albany, I think it would have been a fantastic thing if we'd have had that when we were down there. It would have been brilliant for the players we had. As knowledge in regional football, I'd say that's long overdue.
Yeah, and that's something that was absolutely talking about. And these are, as I said, thinking outside the square, and this is one of them there, thinking outside the square, which realistically, you think outside the square, but you go, well, that's just common sense. Yeah, it is. But we've got to think differently and bring these sort of things and attract more people and get more people playing the game.
Well, you know what they say, don't talk about it, Alex, do it.
Let's jump on it.
Let's do it, mate.
We can do it, but we obviously need to talk about it and put things in place and budgets and so forth. There's a lot of things involved that it's not as easy as it looks, but it's something that we definitely want to do.
And look, again, when you're talking about funding these sorts of things, the government does have in place royalties for regions, and you can tap into that and help the regional communities grow. It's a great initiative.
And the DSR, they obviously look at it and they love that sort of thing as well in terms of regional areas and having the best. Cricket do it. The perfect example is cricket. They go and do it, and it's supported wholeheartedly by DSR. And why can't we do it for football?
Yeah, and it's supported wholeheartedly by government funding as well, which we don't get.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of that, there's the potential of government funding as well.
Yeah. So, can I put Alex on the spot here?
No, how dare you? He's sick, the lad's coughing.
This is standard, that's okay.
Are you on your deathbed there?
This is not a name and Duffy on the spot. This is a very mild. I just want to get your tips for today, Al, and I know...
I'm going to get throttled.
Hey, I wouldn't go into that because 365 is one of your sponsors.
I'm going to be safe and just do it. I'm going to do a Don Evans on these ones.
You sit on the fence for every one of them, eh? Draws. All right, we'll let you off the hook there, Al.
No, let's go. I'm happy to do it.
You ready to go? All right. Armadale and Joondalup United down at Alfred Skeet for the last time this year.
Yeah, I reckon John O'Reilly's Armadale will take that one.
Okay, that's Jono. What do you reckon, Armadale and Joondalup?
Yeah, well, Armadale are always hard to beat down there. They run a good race, and I think is it the last games of the season?
Last game of the season.
Yeah, I think they'd want to go out on a good note.
Leave on a winning note.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm going to tip Joondalup.
Joondalup?
Yeah.
Well, last week Joondalup weren't. They were very competitive to a stage, and then they. Lost it against Floreat in the last 20-odd minutes. But, they could bounce back. But, no, for me, I'd say Armadale at home. Glory at Coburn down at Ashfield Reserve today.
Yeah, tough one. I'm going Glory.
Yeah, well, I think if all those Glory players want a contract, Tony Sage is going to be down there today, so they better play well, and they'll be looking for the win, so I'm going to pick Glory.
They've got to perform, Sean.
I'll go the Glory as well.
Yeah, I'll sit on the fence and call it.
You happy now, Tony?
Perth Soccer Club against ECU Joondalup down at the Dorian Gardens home of football for the Perth Soccer Club. What do you reckon, Al?
Yeah, I'm going Perth, but just so you know, mathematically, they can still also win the league.
Yeah, plus 20 goals. They need to win.
Listen, we can say mathematically, so there's the fourth round I'll potentially be going to today. So I'm going Perth, but not by that much.
Yeah, well, I was thinking Perth because they got off the floor last week in the dying seconds of the game to win it.
A lot of character there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that probably now heading into the top four, they'd want to, be playing winning football at the moment. So I think Perth should get over the line at Dorian Gardens.
Ramon's got them going well, Sean.
Perth want to make a statement. Perth all the way. Yeah. Landslide with Novatsis investigating the betting queue afterwards.
It's close to Florence, that's okay.
And that's the big one. The next game up for grabs is Athena and Inglewood. This is the title clincher, and for Athena, do or die for the top four. One last roll of the dice for them. What do you reckon?
Got to go.
Remember your relatives, Alex.
Jazz is going to kill me, but I'm going Florian. They're going to win because they're fighting for top four.
Yeah, it's a cracking game. Johnny, what do you reckon?
Yeah, well, I think Andy Keogh has done a fantastic job with Inglewood.
Very professional.
And what they've done, most of all, they've scored lots of goals.
Yes.
So I think with that edge and with the championship on the line, I think, and probably a bit of discipline that no doubt Andy will add to that.
Yeah.
I think Inglewood might get over the line and win a championship.
Someone's going to win this game.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a draw here.
No.
Both going to be going hell for leather.
So.
Sean?
Yeah.
I'm going to go Inglewood. They're just a scoring machine.
Yeah, as much as I want to see Floreat get up and make the top four, I think Inglewood deserved the title this year. And have the firepower to just get over the line, edge it out by an odd goal. Bayswater at home to the mighty Lions, who have had a little bit of a resurgence of good form. Young Moses Kalau has been sparkling, and they've picked up a few more Blamos back in the team, so they're not going to be an easy kill for Bayswater. Stirling always seemed to be a bit of a nemesis, and Stirling were 2-0 up the last time they met at Macedonia Park, and Bayswater got serious and upset and came home with a wet sail and won 3-2 that day. What do you reckon?
Yeah, Stirling's a strange team here, Don. They can be magnificent, and then you have those games where, like against Coburn, where they cop 6
and they knocked off Inglewood
in a half, and then they go knock off Inglewood. So yeah. I'm going Don Evans. I'm going draw.
but in those situations, wasn't the movements of players at that time? Some were in, some were out.
Yeah, they did have players who were basically unavailable. Yeah. And then when they came back, all of a sudden it was magic again.
Back to normal.
So this time they've got their full squad. What do you reckon, Johnny?
Yeah, well, I watched Bayswater play manager last week.
Yep.
And
not convincing?
Well, no, Bayswater sort of locked through it. I mean, they had opportunities. Manager, of course, with Doug Heskett there.
Yeah. Well organised.
Organised. But you always felt that Bayswater should have really won by
3 or 4.
Yeah. So with the championship on the line, I think
they'll be up for the win.
I think.
Sean?
The 9 wins on the trot. They'll make it 10 this week.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Coiney has got them well oiled, and I think they'll edge out.
Mind you, again, they're just talking about both sides. Manager and Bayswater last week were resting players.
Yes.
And I think, obviously, it was for this week.
Yeah.
So you'll see big guns out there looking to win championships.
That's it. And that's the big one that we talk about in the next game, Balcatta and Mandurah down at Grindleford Reserve. This is the Survivor Series game. Who will survive?
As you know, my lad's captain of Balcatta.
This is probably the biggest one I've seen for a long time, but
for
some reason I've got Mandurah. They're going to bully their way through and they'll basically be too strong. I think they'll be too strong.
Bully their way. I like that.
That's a big statement, Alex. Put it this way. I'll put it this way. I've seen a lot of Balcatta this year because my lad's playing for them. He's captain, and they're probably 4 to 5 players short.
Yeah.
You know, and I think although last week they changed coaches apparently,
right,
and it was the first time I'd seen Balcatta where every player was competitive.
Yeah.
And it made a difference. At stages, they could have won the game. They could have taken the game away from Inglewood.
Yep.
But they didn't have people who could put the ball in the back of the net. Now, whether that's going to happen this week again, if it does, I think it will be a very competitive game on what you've just said, Tom.
Well,
but I feel, gee whiz, you know, my lad's probably listens to the programme, so I'll pick Balcatta because only on the fact that all of a sudden they found how to compete last week.
Yeah, they found their competitive
and
spirit.
maybe being at home, on the home ground, last game of the season, they can go for it.
They'll fight and battle. And,
they will.
They will. Look, Sean?
Well, look, my heart's with Balcatta because we've got 3 actually 18s playing there, Ishmael Bangur and co. I'd love to see Ishmael banging the winner, but I think Dougie's boys will bully them out of the fight, and it'll be Mandurah this week.
Look, I was at Mandurah training on Thursday night where DT38 did a presentation to all the players, and they've fantastic turnout. All the players rocked up, the 18s reserves and league team, and it was a really good presentation. Tash put on there, and the boys, the banter was fantastic. They were there playing with a set of plastic testicles, learning how to feel the cancer within the testicles, so how to identify, and just the spirit within that club is just amazing. The loss of young Chris Chandler has galvanised that club. That whole club has an amazing, call it unity.
Yeah, they do.
And they've got a bus of 60 people travelling. They are coming down well prepared.
I believe Balcatta are not going to let them in.
No. Well, if I was Balcatta,
so they'll have to watch you from the bus.
I'd just put a pitch flooded. Go to Stirling down the road. We're playing there, boys.
We'll let you in.
Yeah, they'll let you in. But look, Mandurah definitely. They want to hold on, and I know Balcatta do. It's a toss of the coin, but I think Mandurah will edge them out.
It'll be an arm wrestle, but Mandurah.
Just edge them out. So good luck to both teams, and may the best team win on the day. That's all we can say for that game.
Absolutely.
And the last game of the round, which cements the top 4 position that they maintain if they win, is Sorrento, who without Reece Fatiglia, who also was injured badly, a long-term injury to his groin in the South Melbourne game, and without Sean Canham. So two of their big guns up front not available. It makes it a real interesting fixture, Alex. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Again, Don, Sorrento played Saturday, Wednesday, and then Saturday again, and they had to fly in between all of that as well. So, and they lose Sean, obviously suspended / injured, and Higgs as well. So, I still believe Sorrento will win that. I'm going to go Sorrento.
There you go, Johnny. What do you reckon?
Yeah, well, Sorrento have always been a dogged side. You have to work really hard to get over the top of them.
They know how to get the results.
Yeah, they do. And obviously, as you said, Don, I mean, a couple of players, maybe crucial players missing. But then, I'm sure somewhere amongst the group there down at Sorrento, there's a few lads who can come out and being given the opportunity, will want to perform. And, of course, we've got Big Macca. Yeah. I mean, he's been a big store there over the years for Sorrento.
Will Jamie put the boots back on?
Well, there's a possibility. Well, Jamie's obviously played both ends of the field, hasn't he? Yeah. So he's got ideas of, whoever they're playing, how to play against them, what their strengths are, and how they can combat with that. But I would think that Sorrento, after that disappointment in Melbourne, they'd want to
bounce back,
come back home and finish off.
And get in that top four. What do you reckon, Sean?
Well, I think the travel, the emotion, the injuries are all factors, but they're a tough club. If they score first, they'll win.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go a draw in this one because I think Subiaco have got...
God, you're miserable.
I am a miserable person. The fence sitter strikes again.
This programme brought to you by Don Evans Fencing.
But with all those hundreds of thousands of listeners, they'll think, I won't bother going and watching that game. Don says they're going to be a draw.
Yeah, but Don's not always right. So
are you dying? Are you dying on the other end there, Alex?
Mate, Don's jaws make me cough.
Mate, get a dose of that rakia into your L, and that'll kill all those bugs.
We better finish up with you, Alex. Otherwise, you're going to throw a wobbler.
No, that's all right. The only other thing I just was hoping to mention as well was just a couple of things. Is we've got the national final series where obviously either Inglewood or Bayswater will take Heidelberg. Yeah. So. Yeah, that'll be the 16th, 17th of September.
Where's that?
That's here, I believe.
Yep.
So, and then also the massive night, which is the WA Football Awards, which is Saturday, 7th of October, and tickets will go on sale, I think, as early as next week.
Fantastic.
So
no dramas.
That's going to be at the Crown Perth.
Yeah.
And people just get their tickets via the Football West website?
Yeah, absolutely. So information will be sent out to everyone in terms of players, anyone that's on our database, and start again. Just head to our website. All the information will be on there as well.
Cool.
Yeah, well, I think it's been fantastic, Alex, that you've been able to come on and talk your way through all this, because that's one thing that fans, at the end of the day, that's all they want. They just want somebody who is working in administration to be able to take them aside, have a chat with them, listen to what they have to say.
Give us a clear picture.
And you might not, you might not solve all their problems, but at least they look at you with a bit more respect in future when they say, well, I remember talking to Alex or Jonathan Cook or the CEO. Hang on.
Yeah.
James Curtis. So, I mean, a little word here and there, a little bit of recognition goes a long way.
And I think you're like an iceberg, Alex. There's what we see is the tip of the iceberg, but there's a whole lot of stuff that goes on underneath no one ever sees that I happen to know that you do.
Yeah, no, at the end of the day, all that really matters is that I'm available to talk to anyone, be it that a player, a coach, a clubman, whoever. Give us a call. If you see me at a ground, have a chat. As you guys should know, I like to have a chat and love the game. The game, as people say, it's just a game. To me, it's life. So that's why I'm part of it and continue to do so as well.
No worries. Thank you very much for your time, Alex.
My pleasure, guys.
Good work, Al.
All right. And don't forget to take your cough medicine, all right?
I'll have to go have a look on now.
You're a good lad. Cheers, Alex.
Cheers.
Good lad. Bye.
Alex Novatsis, available all hours apparently. So any questions before you hit your keyboard,
ringing him up,
ring him.
Problem solver extraordinaire. Yeah.
No, but look, I have to know he does do an awful lot of work off air as well, and negotiations with different groups of people.
Well, in all honesty as well, Sean, I think a lot of people around the grounds who see Alex at most grounds appreciate that, and he is a person who's quite happy to stop and say hello, how are you, how's things.
And most of us have known him since he was a kid, so.
True.
Yeah.
And the Novatsis family definitely got roots in football, big time.
Yeah. All right, talking of roots in football, we've got another part of the grassroots game, which is mini-football. I'll give us some messages on, and we'll be back with Miguel Maron after that.
And don't forget, you said that John O'Connell would... What was it?
What would he do?
It's talks on the water.
Talk on the water, a mouthful of marbles, John.
This is why I'm sitting here with a frogman's outfit on.
particularly if we start on Liverpool. Oops, I've done it.
There we go.
Looking good, John, looking good.
Yep.
I love Minifootball because it's fast.
I love Minifootball because you can score lots of goals.
Because this is my passion.
Minifootball in Australia.
Australia.
Be a part of Minifootball in Australia.
Rachel Pepper, illustration and design for print and web. Contact Rachel at rachelpepper.com. Station sponsor.
The World Football Program welcomes the Australian Mini-Football Federation onto Radio Fremantle. Join the growing numbers playing non-traditional forms of football at any of the Area 5 centres around Perth. Find out more on ozminifootball.com. Station sponsor.
And on air, I have with me Miguel Maron, who is with the Australian Mini-Football. Miguel, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Very good. And yourself?
Yes, very good. Beautiful sunny day. You couldn't ask for anything better. Now, I believe we're holding the National Mini-Football Championships in Sydney next week?
Yes, correct. We are we're flying over there on Thursday, and we have the championship on Sunday morning. So it will be basically almost an all-day event. We'll probably be finishing about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe starting about 8 o'clock, and just get to see who will be the team to represent Australia in the World Cup in Tunisia in October.
Okay, so where is this being held as a location?
We're going to be up in the Terry Hills Oval. That's where we're going to do the final championships up there. So,
And how many teams will there be competing over the day?
We'll have 10 teams confirmed, but we have a couple, 2 more that are about to confirm next week. They're just trying to get the numbers, because some of the guys, they're still, they're playing their finals on that day, and obviously they're just trying to swap around players so they can keep the the team going and get the opportunity to go and play for Australia and Tunisia. But we're pretty excited, and it's going to be good. And obviously all the teams are participating. They're pretty excited. We have a couple of teams from Brisbane coming down, and we have a team from Perth, and the rest of the teams are from Sydney. But people have been looking forward and asking all these things.
Now we're parochial West Australians here, so who's
how's our Perth team looking?
Who's representing Perth?
Sorry, what was that? I couldn't hear you.
Who is representing Perth?
Well, there's a team called Palmyra Massive who's going to go and represent Australia. There's a couple of guys, good players from here, and there's other guys that used to be playing here in Perth, and now they're in Sydney, so it makes it easier for them to just travel around to Terry Hills instead of getting on the plane. So yeah, it's everybody has the opportunity. I don't know who will win, but it's going to be a big clash between all these teams, because they all have really good pretty good skills and really good players.
So who are the stars, the big names out there, Miguel, that people need to look out for within this tournament?
Look, to be honest, I don't know them all in terms of names yet, because, you know, we've just been doing this for a year, and all these new teams and all the new players, but
you're just getting to know them.
Yeah, well, from Perth you have Brian Raven. He used to play, you know, a long time ago in Panathinaikos, and I think he played in Sydney, and what was the name of that team? Can't remember the team, but
no, that's okay.
He used to be pretty good, and he's still playing. He's a bit of, you know, like he's in his 40s, but he's played for Melbourne City over 35, and I think he's like the top scorer in the team and everything. So he's a pretty good player, and he will be probably one of the guys to, you know.
So the top team in this playoff next week gets to represent Australia?
Correct. So the team that finishes winning the competition is the team that we're taking in Tunisia in October. So we basically have not much time. It's just, you know, we have the competition on the 3rd, and then we're basically flying on the 3rd of October to Tunisia. So it's just pretty quickly, you know, who wins, and now give me all the names and let's go, you know, let's put them in the plane and let's go and play. So. And
where do you get your funding from for this? Because obviously flights to Sydney, flights to Tunisia, it's starting to mount up a bit.
Yeah, well, we're getting a couple of sponsors on board now, and big names are coming along. I just don't want to mention anything at the moment, just because we don't know if it's going to be a final sponsor or not. But like we're basically catching up with a couple of sponsors in Sydney. That's why we're flying on Thursday and try to just finalize the sponsorship and obviously with the luck to get the big names there and obviously with the help of the sponsors to get to Tunisia and hopefully one day with the government getting on board and helping us out, that would be great, you know. So.
Yeah, you mentioned there'll be a team from Australia involved. How many teams altogether will be playing in the championship?
Here in Sydney?
Yes.
Yeah, they're going to be. Well, we have 10 that are confirmed so far, so we're waiting for 2 more. So it's either going to be 10 or 12 in the final. So yeah, and then just the winner is the one. So.
And you were planning to hold the World Cup in Perth at some stage. Is there any movement on that?
Well, that is going to be the tentative date. It's between year 2019, 2020. So, having to fly to Tunisia in October with, being part of the executive committee of the World Minifootball Federation, we're going to make the decision of, trying to basically finalize and say, okay, Australia's doing the next World Cup, let's get it going. But like, it's a big chances and big probabilities because we actually wanted to host it this year, but they said that the talks were done with Tunisia before time, and they raised their hand before us. So obviously they're the ones doing now the World Cup, and we just have to go there and represent, and then bring it down here. So
have you had a chance? Have you had a chance, Miguel, to chat to government? Call it people tied up with the sports minister to lobby for that?
Well, look, we've been to Canberra. We spoke to the Minister of Sport, and they're trying to help us. We've been to FFA. Obviously, just like, we have other things going on. We're not interested, so we're like, okay, no worries. So we just wanted to know, so we can let know the government, and the government gets on board and help us out. And I mean, it's a big battle, but because it's just a new sport, and we're trying to get recognized and all those sort of things.
Yeah. Actually, it sounds like, Miguel, that what you need to do is bring somebody into your organisation who can be influential with what you're trying to achieve. And I don't know whether obviously there's people looking...
Call it a lobbyist.
Yeah. A lobbyist, somebody who has connections, can go and knows the people they need to go to get some benefit for you.
Yeah, I agree. Look, absolutely, like, we've been knocking on the doors, when it's like anything, in even in life or business, you have to start knocking on the doors so people know who you are and stuff.
No, what I'm saying is, Miguel, as well, is that sometimes it's not who you are, it's who you know. And
no, correct.
Yeah, and that can help you in a big way. And hopefully down the track, as you're going through your infancy and what have you, is that you find those kind of people, because they can be so very important when you're talking about World Cups, when you're talking about going overseas and things like that, when you're talking about being able to get the sponsors who can help you achieve that. So hopefully in the next couple of years that it grows, it develops, and you have those kind of people who are promoting your product.
Yeah, no, absolutely, John. Look, I agree with what you said, and we've been talking to a couple of people that were involved in the big game. So and they actually know, what we're trying to do, and they're actually interested in hearing more. So as I say, these meetings in Sydney we're having is sponsors and it's people that.
And I suppose the other thing, Miguel, is media. Do you get involved with any media? Can we watch it on streaming or anything like that?
Yeah, well, we're working now. We're having chats with Foxtel, so we have the highest probability that the Australian, the games from Australia will be televised by Foxtel here in October. So people
all sounds very, very exciting, mate. Look, I know it's a new sport, and you're almost a year or so old, so it is a developing market and a developing avenue for football, and somewhere that another way for us all to enjoy the game, and I really value your time this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, I agree. And it's exciting, you can see now ex-professional soccer players, around the world playing the small-sided game in the artificial turf. So that obviously gives us a little bit more of a
marketability, mate. That's what it's all about.
Hey, Miguel, you should come over and see us play, mate. We're not bad.
Well, mate, I would like to. Why don't you come down and play Area 5? And,
yeah, why not?
Yeah, we'll get John down there for you, mate.
Yeah, we'll get down there and have a kick, son.
All right, Miguel, look, we've got to move on with the show, as always. Look, really value your time. We'll catch up with you sometime following the championships and see where we're moving in the actual World Cup itself.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you very much. I mean, we as I say, we hopefully get the best team to represent Australia when we go over there, and we know it's going to be a tough World Cup because, I've been following the teams from around the world that are going to participate, and they're very, very strong. Like Russia is one of the strong ones. Kazakhstan is very strong.
Yeah.
Mexico is very strong. So yeah.
I look forward talking to you. I look forward to talking to you about it next time we're on, mate. All right. Thank you very much, Miguel.
You're a good lad, Miguel. You're a good lad, Miguel. Take care of yourself.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for your call.
Thank you.
Bye, lad.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Miguel Maron, and hopefully one of our West Australian sides will do very well there next week.
Actually, funny you talk about that. Next week,
indoor? Were you much of an indoor player, Johnny? Did you get?
Yeah, I played indoor soccer.
Enjoyed it?
Yeah, smashing.
Yeah, no,
technical.
I loved it.
It's good for your techniques.
I loved it until I snapped my Achilles and I gave it away.
As well. You get good camaraderie.
Yeah, and look, you, in all honesty, you work a lot harder.
You do. And technically, you have to be a bit better.
Yep.
Yeah.
But just talking about that, the street football World Cup is on next week in Europe. Yeah, and Australia, they've got a side over there. And I was listening to a lad they dragged off the streets who's now bursting at the gap to get over there.
Yeah, right.
He's changed his life altogether, he said, playing soccer, this street soccer. So
fantastic.
And Australia do have a team in that World Cup.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's just another avenue of ways to enjoy the game. I see Melbourne City had the first E-player signed. He went across and played in the E-World Cups, got knocked out in the qualification rounds. But, again, another avenue to enjoy the game.
Well, I think the thing is, Sean, is that, it's all these kind of competitions are in their infancy here in Australia. And we're coming to terms with it all, like beach soccer, indoor soccer, what is it, the other one? Futsal, all that.
Yeah.
And, we've been sitting watching every other country play it over the years. Now, all of a sudden, we're there, we're involved. Yeah. And it's an avenue for players. I mean, you've got blind football now, and things like that. And it's just fantastic.
Oh, look, as a kid, we would play with our fingers in a chisel on the top of a school desk. So,
some people said I was always blind when I played, so it didn't make any difference to me. But realistically, I've played blind cricket, I've played blind football, and it's fantastic. And to see the way disabled people have approached this and see it as an outlet they can be part of what everybody else is doing. It's just fantastic.
Yeah. It is a game for the people.
Anyway, where's the big man? We want to talk to the big man, Big Macca.
Yeah, we're going to get Big Macca on very, very shortly. In fact, what I'll do is I'll throw on these messages. There's something you wanted to say, Don? Or?
No, I was just going to say.
We haven't done the lower division fixes, so maybe we should zip through that. Because excitement there as well, Don.
It's
and you
happening.
can maybe get Big Macca.
Yeah.
I'll get Big Macca.
While we go through them. Yeah, Division 2, big games. Canning City
have we done Division 1?
Division 1. Yeah, First Division. Canning City taking on Western Knights. That'll be a must-win game for the Knights to win the title. Dianella taking on Fremantle City, and Fremantle now coached by Mark Anthony, and Dianella by Robbie Burns. So two experienced fellas going head-to-head there. Joondalup City and Forestfield. Another important game. Forestfield needing to win to stay in that promotion position. Rockingham taking on Ashfield. That'll be a tough one down at Rockingham at Lark Hill. And the last game, which is the real tasty encounter, is Southwest Phoenix taking on UWA Netherlands down at in Bunbury.
That'll be a cracker.
It will be a cracker.
Down at that lovely facility.
Maron Marcioni, he's a man who's definitely turned the fortunes around. Finished ninth last year for that did Southwest, and he's now got them in that top three.
And Gosnells have got the bye.
They've got the bye. So in the second division, the big one and the one that's pretty much title decider for Gwelup. If they win today, they'll clinch promotion against Olympic Kingsway, our old favourite Green Machine club that you once played for.
Graham Normanton coaching there. Are they underachieved this year, do you think?
Oh, look, I think Normo's
still sorting out the squad.
He's still sorting out the squad, but look,
been a few changes there.
They can get in the playoffs still, John.
Can they?
Yeah, so it's not like they're without a chance. So Olympic, they could pull off an upset today and still maintain their position. But
and
I think
Steve Nolkowski is the CEO.
Stevie's the chairman, CEO slash
pumps the balls up.
The man that does everything down there. So he is Captain Zus, we call him. Curtin University versus Swan United, not a game of consequence. Shamrock and Kelmscott. Morley Windmills against Balga. That'll be an important game for Morley. And Wanneroo taking on Quinns.
Okay.
And a very exciting prospect there, because the second relegation spot, which is currently occupied by Gosnells, will play off against the second, third and fourth in a round-robin competition for promotion up into Division 1. So another good concept.
Lots of interest.
Absolutely. And during the week we had some interest with Sorrento going over east and playing the former NSL giant, South Melbourne. And one of those people that did that was Steve McDonald. I've got Big Macca on the line. Steve, good morning. How are you?
Good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, good.
How are you, Big Macca?
John, how are you? I'm good, thanks.
Now, listen, did you get a big seat on the plane with your 6'7"? How did you? Was it comfortable for you?
I actually didn't, but the leg room has surprisingly grown over the years. So I'm happy.
And, okay.
How was the experience, Steve?
Yeah.
I mean, did the boys enjoy it, even though the result didn't go your way?
The experience was second to none. I think it was just, you all start getting a bit giddy at first, because, a lot of the boys have never witnessed that sort of trip involved with football. You get to go away as a group and basically it's like you unite as a family, really, to go over there and experience something such as what we did. Just obviously it was disappointing in the manner in which we lost and how we got beaten, basically how we were treated over there. But taking that out of it, it was a really good experience, and one that I'm sure all the boys thoroughly enjoyed. Regardless of the football.
Poor old Sean would have had a sour taste in his mouth after doing his Achilles and then copping that from the ref. He must have been spitting chips.
Yeah, he actually, to be fair to the big guy, he actually took it quite well.
Yeah.
I think it was more of the shock, because he never felt any pain when he went down. But Alex Morgan from behind him heard it like a gunshot.
Yeah.
But Sean thought he'd been kicked. He's like, he knew something had snapped, and he says, "I've been kicked." Yeah. And he's went down. He's went down literally. He had no control over his foot.
Having experienced one, that's exactly how it happens.
Yeah. He just went down. He never went down claiming for it. style. It was like someone just running in the wilderness. They've just fallen. And the referee had it in his mind that he was sending him off regardless. I chased after the referee to try and calm him down, because he had the cards out already. He had the yellow and the red out instantly. So I was just like, ref, can you please just take a minute to assess the situation and just see that he's actually injured. He's done his Achilles. You can see he's cast up by his knee. His Achilles is gone. I said, you're about to ruin this game for us and for everyone else watching us. And he goes, nah, he's feigning injury to avoid being sent off. And at the same time, their goalkeeper was over the top of him, giving them pelters. Now, this is run about the time about 3 or 4 of the South Melbourne players have realised that Sean's actually injured and actually changed their attitude towards him and went, Jesus, are you okay? So the keeper was still going, so then Platts was taking the keeper away, and then them two have got a commotion. It was very well, it wasn't very well refereed by the man in the middle. It was just some of his decisions were absolutely atrocious.
What a shame. That was a spoiler, but on the positive side, you've had a great run in the FFA Cup, and it's been tremendous for the club. It's brought a whole lot of interest in Sorrento. The sponsors have got behind you. The first game that is won against the Canberra Crew. All
first WA state side to make the last 16.
Absolutely. I mean, you created history for the state, which all you boys down there can hold your heads high for that.
Yeah, I suppose the other thing about that, Macca, is that at the end of the day, South Melbourne have been one of the best sides in and out of national leagues in Australia. And do you feel like when you go into those kind of competitions, they're a bit more au fait with what you have to do, what levels you have to play at?
Oh, of course. I mean, basically, John, I don't think we were given a chance going into that game regardless. We were never going to win it. They've got some unbelievably good players. But we take our hat off to some of them. I think number 7, who scored 2, he was a level above all of this. But I mean, from the minute we got there, like I said, we had no help getting a hotel room. It was supposed to be, I don't know if that's through the FFA or through South Melbourne, they were supposed to supply us with a training pitch or access to the pitch before the game, which they never did. So we had to train on a public park 3 or 4 kilometres away from the actual
it must have brought back fond memories, Macca, playing on the park, the local park.
Yeah, but
isn't that where you started your career?
It is, but this park had grass up around about our shins. There was nothing else available. So, I mean, all of that plays part of what to show. I mean, so they tried to put a sort of taste in their mouth, and at the beginning they never did, but I suppose it's just the mind games that they want to play.
Yeah, but I mean, that's disappointing. I mean, we're talking about the game has gone to the next level now, and when teams come over to Perth, we are so accommodating. We can't do enough for them.
But you talk about Western Knights going across to Gold Coast. Gold Coast treated them like royalty.
Yeah.
They couldn't speak highly enough of how they were looked after.
You should, because you're visitors and guests in their state, and that was probably the most hurtful thing from them, that they never treated us with the respect that we probably should have got from them, because it's an Australian stage competition now.
Yeah.
And they're claiming that they want to get back into the A-League. Well, show your professionalism at the same time.
Yeah, but I think the thing about that, Macca, though, is that the FFA should take them to task on that.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're supposed to do what you said they were supposed to have done and they didn't, then obviously, the FFA should step in and say, well, sorry about that, bang, fine, there you go, don't do it again.
Damage done, though, that's the problem.
But anyway, just looking at Sorrento now, I mean, 1972 when the team kicked off originally, and you've won your first share of trophies over the years, Macca, and you've been a big part of Sorrento. It's close to your heart, obviously. What about your early career when you were a young lad, the teams you played for? How did you approach all that?
What you mean, the teams that played?
Well, when you played, because you obviously started your career in Scotland.
Yes.
Yeah, give us a rundown of.
Give us a rundown on some of the teams you played for, Macca.
Yeah.
Don't be shy, son. Don't be bashful.
Oh no, I started playing football when I was about 5 years old. So I mean, a lot of people might not know, I'm actually 37 just now. So I'm 38 in a couple of months. So I've been playing the game for a very long time. I started off at Moodiesburn, which was my cousin's team. My dad used to work away all the time. You went to Police Brigade and people with the scouts and stuff, and the football was just like you're playing with your mates, but you've always got the clubs outside of it that gets you more involved. So my cousin, through his uncle, was coaching. I went to Moodiesburn, which was, in regards to I lived in Glasgow, it's probably from Perth to maybe Mandurah away. Yeah. It's like a good 3/4 to an hour away that you travel, but you do that quite a bit back home because you travel to get to the game. So I started off there. I was there for 3 or 4 years. And then we obviously moved over, we immigrated to Australia, and then basically that's the love affair started with Sorrento. From there, I was there from under 11. It was my first season with Todd Harmwell straight away. Basically played juniors all the way up to under 16s, went to Perth for a year, then came back to Sorrento, stayed at Sorrento till 18s, and then moved to Kingsway with Tonko Kelly. I was there for 2 years, then on to Inglewood for a couple of years. Western Knights for about a year, and then back to Sorrento. And then in between times, I've went over and played for Motherwell, Scotland.
Gee, it's like going on holidays.
But you always come.
But you took your boots with you.
I get restless.
You're like a boomerang. You keep going back to Sorrento all the time.
Well, we were talking earlier with Don about your opportunities of making the playoffs here, and you've got a big game this weekend again. And how are you going to front up for that? We're wondering, with all the drama that's gone down during the week, are the boys up for the big game today?
I think the one thing always about Sorrento is that we never have a never say die attitude. Like regardless of what happens, we always say, right, well, there's no point standing crying over spilt milk because it's not going to get you anywhere. So I mean, you move on, and unfortunately, we have to move on without two of our best players. Like Fish particular was out for the rest of the season probably, and Sean's out for the best part of a year. So, but we've got players that are more than capable of coming in. We've got young Alex Morgan will come in and fill in for Sean and do the best he can, as he did on Wednesday night. He played well when he came on, done what he could ask for him. So I mean, we'll move on, we'll regroup. There's one thing about Sorrento, we've always had that we'll go into every game thinking we're going to win regardless.
Yeah. And you've been one of the stalwarts down there over the years, Mac. You've obviously made it your home in a sense.
Yeah, well, most definitely. Even like when I was away from Sorrento, I kind of always knew I was going to go back. Yeah. It's very much a homely club. There's a lot of other people who look at their clubs too when they get involved in it. But I mean, Sorrento to me is very close to my heart. I'll be involved with Sorrento till well, God knows when, till the day I go.
Good on you, Steve.
They look after people, and you look after them, and it goes both ways.
And how's the game changed, if any, since you've been here in Perth over all those years?
Oh, it's changed tremendously. I mean, it's now becoming more of a footballing athlete's game, whereas years ago you could get through it with certain players not having limited skills, if you know what I mean. But nowadays it's just so fast paced, and like athletes and people that actually like the nutrition and everything coming in towards it. Like,
do you mean to say, Macca, that you're not an athlete?
I'd like to pretend I'm an athlete, but I think I'm just gripping on for dear life.
But do you feel really proud that you've made such a big contribution to our football here in WA?
Sorry, John, what was that?
Do you feel really proud of the fact that you've made such a big contribution to the game here in WA?
I'd like to think I've done quite a bit for the game. I know there's quite a few people out there that look upon me as I'm not very well liked, but I think that's down to the fact that I want to win at all costs whenever I play against someone, and I don't leave any stone unturned when I'm on the pitch. And once I'm off the pitch, that's it, it's finished with. I mean, if you got to know me off the pitch, you'd probably find me a different person. But I'm quite happy with people not liking me on the pitch, and I'd like to think that I've done quite a bit for the game and for people that want to play the game the same way. Because I mean, I know I'm limited in what I do, but I'd like to think I'm very good at what I do.
Look, I'll tell you what, Mac, you've got heaps of respect out there in the football community, and whatever you've said in this interview is how people see you.
Yeah.
You know, you've been a great contributor. I mean, you know, you might kick a few people now and then, but what the hell? I mean, that's what the game's about
football
as well.
Yeah, it's a man's game.
You have to, John. When people are better than you have to kick them.
Well, at least you're honest, Macca.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good stuff.
But you always pick them up after you kick them, Macca. That was the good thing.
Oh, of course I do. I'll pick them up and twist their arms so that they can feel more pain.
So what about coaching? Have you had any thoughts on that, maybe in the future?
Oh, it's actually funny you say that, because I remember when I was about 8 years old, and I said to my dad, I can't wait till I'm a manager. And he said, well, let's just wait till we get the footballing career out of the way first. I've always wanted to go into coaching. It's one thing I am quite passionate about. I will eventually go into it, but I just can't seem to stop playing just now. I'm just enjoying it so much.
And what's the best advice you ever got in football, Macca?
I don't know.
Probably to stop kicking people.
Never know when you're beat.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah, I suppose.
Never know when you're beat and play to the final whistle.
There's something in that for all of us, mate.
Yep.
And you're happy with everything else, Macca?
Oh, ecstatic.
Today you'll be happy if we get the result against Subiaco. So, yep. That's...
Well, yeah, it's not going to be an easy game. We all know Subiaco are no easy team, and I'm looking forward to it. It's a good tussle. Hopefully, my big pal Ian McMurray's playing up front, so we can get involved with each other.
That'll be a very interesting tussle.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's looking forward to it as well, Macca.
He can't wait.
It's always a good tussle.
All right, Steve, look, thank you very much for your time this morning. Best of luck this afternoon against Subiaco, and may the best team win.
Thanks very much, Jen.
Good on you, Macca. Thanks for joining us, lad.
Thanks, John. Bye.
Cheers, son.
Yep.
See you, bye.
Okay, Steve McDonald there of Sorrento, and they're in action against Subi this afternoon. So another good game in the MPL.
It certainly is, and I'm sure at half-time they'll be listening to Lenny Brush, who's doing the jazz program. He's coming to do the jazz program now, and I'm sure all the boys will be in the change room because they tune into Lenny's show.
Yeah. A couple of big games this weekend. Newcastle, West Ham, Don.
Oh, mate, we need 3 points badly. Hopefully we can nick them this week. We got a win in the cup, so the confidence might be...
It might be there. And the big game Sunday, Liverpool, Arsenal.
Yeah. Who's going to win that one?
Actually, it'd be interesting to see how Liverpool come up after the... playing Hoffenheim. Because I thought they played exceptionally well.
Oh, look, and Chan's goals, just absolute brilliance.
Yeah. No, I think the EPL's basically started off with a real surge this year, especially amongst the elite clubs. You know, Man United are looking like the prima donnas ready to rock and roll. They've got a star-studded lineup as well.
And Arsenal got beat by Stoke last week. So
anything's possible.
Anything's possible.
Just a reminder for the women's fixtures again. Just giving a shout out to the girls out there who are wondering where the games are at. This Sunday, Queen's Park taking on Northern Redbacks at Coker Park. Beckenham Angels taking on Football West NTC Women. And East Fremantle taking on Bassendean Caledonian, and Balcatta with the bye. And the following week, we've got the big cup final, which will be Football West NTC Women taking on the Northern Redbacks at Grindleford Reserve.
That'll be a cracker.
That'll be a beaut game. So, for the girls... get down there and support your teams.
And all games, juniors right the way through the Premier League, will all be held on that one day at Grindleford.
Brilliant.
Yep.
And don't forget, all you soccer players out there, you could be only a kick away from being famous.
Just like you, John.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say that.
All right, that's all we have for this week. Thank you very much. Been a pleasure working with both you, John and Don. I'll be back next week.
Really?
Yeah.
Can I come? Can I come
yeah,
back
you can
next
come,
week?
mate. Yeah, no problem.
Enjoy the sunshine.
This has been the World Football Programme. See you next time.
Cheers. Take care.
Good day.
Join us again next week at the same time for the World Football Programme on Radio Fremantle 107.9 FM.